International Cooperation and Development Partnerships Directorate General for International Cooperation and Development, ACP EU Development Cooperation, European Solidarity Corps, European Development Fund, and European Neighborhood Policy Eastern Partnership Summit 2015, Riga. The European Union uses foreign relations instruments like the European Neighborhood Policy, which seeks to tie those countries to the east and south of the European territory of the EU to the Union. These countries, primarily developing countries, include some who seek to one day become either a member state of the European Union or more closely integrated with the European Union. The EU offers financial assistance to countries within the European neighborhood, so long as they meet the strict conditions of government reform, economic reform, and other issues surrounding positive transformation. This process is normally underpinned by an action plan, as agreed by both Brussels and the target country. Union for the Mediterranean meeting in Barcelona. International recognition of sustainable development as a key element is growing steadily. Its role was recognized in three major UN summits on sustainable development: the 1992 UN Conference on Environment and Development, UNCED, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the 2002 World Summit on Sustainable Development, WSSD, in Johannesburg, South Africa, and the 2012 UN Conference on Sustainable Development, UNCSD, in Rio de Janeiro. Other key global agreements are the Paris Agreement and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, United Nations, 2015. The SDGs recognize that all countries must stimulate action in the following key areas: people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership, in order to tackle the global challenges that are crucial for the survival of humanity. EU development action is based on the European Consensus on Development, which was endorsed on 20 December 2005 by EU member states, the Council, the European Parliament, and the Commission. It is applied from the principles of capability approach and rights-based approach to development. Partnership and cooperation agreements are bilateral agreements with non-member nations. Trade President of Georgia Salom Zurabishvili, President of Moldova Maia Sandu, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky, and President of the European Council Charles Michel during the 2021 Batumi International Conference. In 2014, the EU signed association agreements with all the three states. The European Union is the largest exporter in the world and as of 2008 the largest importer of goods and services. Internal trade between the member states is aided by the removal of barriers to trade such as tariffs and border controls. In the Eurozone, trade is helped by not having any currency differences to deal with amongst most members. The European Union Association Agreement does something similar for a much larger range of countries, partly as a so-called soft approach, a carrot instead of a stick, to influence the politics in those countries. The European Union represents all its members at the World Trade Organization, WTO, and acts on behalf of member states in any disputes. When the EU negotiates trade-related agreement outside the WTO framework, the subsequent agreement must be approved by each individual EU member state government. The European Union has concluded free trade agreements, FTAs, and other agreements with a trade component with many countries worldwide and is negotiating with many others. The European Union services trade surplus rose from $16 billion in 2000 to more than $250 billion in 2018. In 2020, in part due to the COVID-19 pandemic, China became the EU's largest trading partner, displacing the United States. Economy of the European Union. Next generation EU. As a political entity, the European Union is represented in the World Trade Organization, WTO. EU member states own the estimated second largest after the United States, US $105 trillion net wealth in the world, equal to around 20%. 60 trillion of the US $36 trillion, 300 trillion global wealth. 19 member states have joined a monetary union known as the Eurozone, which uses the euro as a single currency. The currency union represents 342 million EU citizens. The euro is the second largest reserve currency as well as the second most traded currency in the world after the United States dollar. Of the top 500 largest corporations in the world, measured by revenue in 2010, 161 had their headquarters in the EU. In 2016, unemployment in the EU stood at 8.9% while inflation was at 2.2% and the account balance at minus 0.9% of GDP. The average annual net earnings in the European Union was around $24,000 US $30,000 in 2015. There is a significant variation in nominal GDP per capita within individual EU states. The difference between the richest and poorest regions, 281 NUTS, two regions of the nomenclature of territorial units for statistics, ranged in 2017 from 31%, Severozapadin, Bulgaria of the EU 28 average, 30,000, to 253%, Luxembourg, or from 4,600 to 92,600. Internal market. European single market, digital single market, and European consumer law. Two of the original core objectives of the European Economic Community were the development of a common market, subsequently becoming a single market, and a customs union between its member states. The single market involves the free circulation of goods, capital, people, and services within the EU, and the customs union involves the application of a common external tariff on all goods entering the market. Once goods have been admitted into the market, they cannot be subjected to customs duties, discriminatory taxes, or import quotas as they travel internally. The non-EU member states of Iceland, Norway, Liechtenstein, and Switzerland participate in the single market but not in the customs union. Half the trade in the EU is covered by legislation harmonized by the EU. Free movement of capital is intended to permit movement of investments such as property purchases and buying of shares between countries. Until the drive towards economic and monetary union, the development of the capital provisions has been slow. Post-Maastricht, there has been a rapidly developing corpus of ECJ judgments regarding this initially neglected freedom. The free movement of capital is unique insofar as it is granted equally to non-member states. The free movement of persons means that EU citizens can move freely between member states to live, work, study, or retire in another country. This required a lowering of administrative formalities and recognition of professional qualifications of other states. The free movement of services and of establishment allows self-employed persons to move between member states to provide services on a temporary or permanent basis. While services account for 60% to 70% of GDP, legislation in the area is not as developed as in other areas. This lacuna has been addressed by the services in the Internal Market Directive 2006, which aims to liberalize the cross-border provision of services. According to the treaty, the provision of services is a residual freedom that only applies if no other freedom is being exercised. European Union documents. A European vehicle registration plate, consisting of a blue strip on the left side with the EU flag symbol, along with a country code of the member state in which the vehicle is registered.